Welcome to Conscious Living Collective, where transformation is not just a concept, but an experience. My name is Tomek. I'm a scientist, teacher, and transformation coach. In this live session, we blend the latest in scientific research, the deep wisdom of mindfulness, and the art of fulfilled living. This is an invitation to have a direct experience, to rewrite your story, and to emerge with a renewed sense of purpose and well-being. Here we are again, back after the break. I'm very happy to be back. How are you guys? I'd be curious to know. As always, I want to acknowledge wonderful participants of Conscious Living Collective, without whom these sessions would not be possible. So I'm going to go by the icons that flow underneath my screen. Hello, Anita. Hello, Diane. Hello, Charmaine. Hello, Sharon. Who else we have here? Hello, Heather. Hello, Beth. Hello, now by comments, Samia. From Familiar Faces, Charmaine, Michelle, Tosca, and Joan. There you go. I recognize Gunner on your icon. Wonderful fellow dog. So I am back, and I just want to share with you right here at the start some of my experiences from my Japan trip. It was my first time in Japan, and what a trip it was. It was something very special. The theme for my trip was nature and culture. Even though here in the Sunshine Coast, Australia, I have plenty of nature and try to spend every single day being in nature, the culture that I experienced in Japan was something that I've been craving for a long time. And that part was fulfilled in excess. Hello, Jamie. Oh, hello, Seth. Fantastic. Kathleen. Beautiful. So perhaps I could spend the entire session talking about my trip to Japan, but I want to pick up on something that surprised me, and maybe that's why the title of today's session is Managing Anxiety, because believe it or not, but I personally had to manage my anxiety when I was there, at least for the first week, because everything was so new, and particularly being in Tokyo was so overwhelming. That mindfulness training and meditation training and well-being training I've been talking about and teaching myself in my personal self-development, it becomes so important in this trip in order to enjoy myself and to take in all the beauty of nature and culture of Japan. For those of you who live in the US, this is another reason for this session. I'm sure that the election also brought quite a bit of stress and, to some of you, anxiety. So this is another reason I thought I'm going to bring the topic and offer some of my understanding of the whole process of anxiety. But before we jump into the topic, I want to ask you for your approach towards anxiety. And what are your sources of anxiety in one or two words? So we can make this session as relevant as possible. I tend to talk from the theoretical point of view, but I certainly want to make it relevant to you and use as much as my personal experience and personal story to weave in something that it's so obvious and so natural in our human experience. Because let me start by saying this: anxiety is one of the most common built-in mechanisms that we came up with, and that comes very strongly with the understanding why anxiety is normal and normalized to some extent. Athena says, my work is my biggest source of anxiety. I work in human resources and get overwhelmed, overworked, and burned out. Thank you for sharing, Athena. How many of you, just put a raise of hand, virtual hand, if you can put it in the comment section, how many of you feel anxiety in your workplace, either in the current situation or in the past? Beth, all of the emotions, yes, so profoundly said about the election results, have found solace amongst good and loving people. Diane, source of anxiety among family relationships and social settings. How much I understand that part, Diane. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, Kathleen says constantly. Jamie raises both hands. Tiffany, Evie, Mariana, Barbara, Shadow, Heather, Joanna. Oh, hello, Thoradrim. I haven't seen you for a while. Yeah, been a while. In unfortunate going father is a source of anxiety. Samia, Athena. So as you can see, this is one of the most common sources of anxiety. And the reason for that is that's where we spend most of our time. And in the work with my clients and in my personal experience, that's where human interaction happens. And human interactions are one of the biggest, personally to me, sources of anxiety. I could ask you to raise your hand if your relationships are always smooth and rosy, because I think human relationships are usually also a big source of anxiety. So I'm raising my hand here. However, I want to start by, Kathleen, physical pain, constant source of anxiety. Well, the physical pain is another incredible source of anxiety because it keeps you in the state of constant alert, right? From the physiological point of view, all those stress hormones that build up in your system. Yeah, Anita, not always smooth relationships. Evie, mostly good. Okay. So I prepared once again a cheat sheet to give you overview of what managing anxiety is. And that's my cheat sheet, managing anxiety. And it starts with understanding what anxiety really is. And let me begin by saying that anxiety is a natural response to stress. However, it's a natural response which can become overwhelming if not managed effectively. So we have the aspect of this, how our body responds to a stressful situation, and stress being natural part of life. And anxiety is kind of one step above normal stress, where we feel overwhelmed. But we start from the point of evolution, how we evolved. Stress and strong stress that leads to anxiety is something that we evolved to manage and to experience, and for a long, long time has been a source of our protection. So when we experience stress and the high level of stress that leads to anxiety, this is a signal that something is not wrong. Something is not right. something is wrong. And it is a cry from our body, our physiological response. We could talk about adrenaline, cortisol. We all know the so-called stress hormones that circulate in our body, causing tension, making blood move from our brain to extremities, right? Fogging our mental function, fogging our cognition. This happens for a reason. And the reason is our survival, and it is our protection. And the reason why I mention it is that every single person have experienced anxiety at some point in some different form, caused by a different triggers. So the natural response of an intelligent person is to move away from anxiety. But what I want to invite you today to do is, rather than moving away from anxiety as a first reaction, is to trying to understand it and where it is coming from. Acknowledging it without being judgmental. The first impulse is, I don't want to feel this way, move away, go away, escape, run. But in our sessions of Conscious Living Collective, where we try to shed the light of the human responses and try to understand them better, I will invite you to stop when anxiety happens. And as I tried to say in point 2, I want to ask you to identify your triggers. So take a moment right now. We already mentioned work as a source of anxiety. Relationships are a source of anxiety. But I want you to look for a second in your, maybe even during this one day, what was a source of your anxiety, even if it lasted for a short period of time, and recognize just one of the triggers. And if you wish, please do share it with us, because this is an interactive session. Your participation is very much appreciated, makes it much more relevant. And as you will be sharing yours, I want to share my experience from the recent trip to Japan. Japan, Tokyo in particular, is at the moment the biggest city in the world. Apparently it's a host of over 37 million people. 37 million people, it's more than the entire population of Australia. So we have a continent. Right now, it's 25 plus million people. One city in Japan, Tokyo, has 1.5 times that many people. And I'm simply not used to it. So, and when I arrived to Tokyo, to Narita Airport, and then moved, and then took a train to Tokyo Central. And my anxiety was strong because I'm not used to being surrounded by so many people. And I asked myself, is this a bad thing? Is it a bad thing that I'm feeling anxious? And my answer to that question was resounding no. Obviously, everybody would feel this way. And since I traveled the world many times, to many different places for extended period of times, I've learned that about myself. That first few hours in particular, or few days in a new place, are always a big source of anxiety. So recognition of that trigger, and trigger in this case was simply the number of people I was surrounded with, all very nice people, to add to that, because let me just say how lovely Japanese people are, how respectful, how quiet, in spite of such a high population and high density. I found myself surrounded by a lot of quiet and a lot of not too much noise. So that was surprising. But anxiety still arose in this experience. And I did a classic check in with myself and asked myself, is it okay to feel this way considering circumstances? And again, my answer to this question was resounding yes. It's okay to feel this way considering the circumstances. My body tries to protect me from the circumstance that is not very common, because the reason I've chosen to move to the Sunshine Coast of Australia is because it's much quieter here. Much fewer people. I do not like personally big cities. I know that big cities trigger me. So in this particular situation, that was my trigger. I knew it, I recognize it, and I still, because I want to experience the culture and nature of Japan, I decided to go through it, go through that obstacle. And this is a very important thing. When we recognize the trigger, we can manage our anxiety much more effectively. We know, even if when we know that something causes anxiety, but it's inevitable, like work, like family, we can still make informed decisions about how we manage it. And sometimes this leads to the source of strength, because let me tell you from my own experience, Japan was a fantastic experience. And if I didn't let myself to go through this, like I said, anxious period for the first few hours, and I dare say for the first few days, I would not experience what I experienced. And I would be less rather than more rich in experience if I didn't allow that initial anxious state. There are so many comments, and I apologize, I was caught up in my own narrative, but let me just take a look at the comments, what is happening here. Kathleen, fused and cervical spine, migraine and knife pains. Yeah, that can be a huge source of anxiety, chronic pain. Evie trying to sort out medical mistakes to do with necessary treatments, to do with pushing myself too far to be supportive to others, having a telephone appointment. Trying to fill out 8 pages of medical questionnaire with brain fog, worrying about the child going through school refusal since COVID. Yeah, that's clearly a big source of anxiety. And to add to that, COVID itself, I think it was one of those events that was by far the biggest source of anxiety, and global anxiety to every single person. So let's bring that forth and maybe acknowledge that we're still going to some extent. I know some of you still going through the consequences, the repercussions of the pandemic. And I would just want to acknowledge you and your struggle, and that we are here all to support you and your path. Seth says, family, aging, medical, so much commonality among that. So, okay. So far, the triggers, the strong stimuli of anxiety, work, family, health, aging. I think aging and health are somehow connected. That's what it is. And recognize that all of the above are inevitable, right? As far as I'm concerned, everybody has to work. Everybody has a family. As of today, we are still not born in test tubes. We all have families. we all have responsibilities that go with it. We all age, and we all go through periods of illness. And to mention a recent COVID, a recent pandemic that was a global event. So everybody, if didn't go through, I personally had COVID once, I think. Maybe twice, but the second time I think was so mild I didn't even notice. But everybody went through that and had people around you that suffered from the virus. So these are inevitable. And recognizing that comes back to understanding anxiety. That anxiety is not necessarily a bad thing as long as we learn to manage it. That's the topic of today's session. We know this is not, the topic of the session is how to avoid anxiety. The topic of the session is how to never feel anxious again. The topic of the session is how to manage anxiety. And to give you an example of someone that I think it's a great example of person that potentially could never be anxious. Rupert Spira, spiritual teacher, and person with a huge amount of experience with meditation and contemplation and a lifetime, very much awakened person. He says himself, I myself still experience stress and anxiety. The difference is that, as he admits, for him, because of the path he went through, the recognition, the self-growth, managing his responses, stress or anxiety does not last as long as it used to in the past. So again, we are learning here how to manage the anxiety better, not to avoid it. And that starts with understanding it. We are good scientists. We explore what are the reasons for our anxiety. We identified family, work, aging, chronic pain, medical conditions. These are things that every single person has to experience, and anticipating that, knowing that for me, in my recent trip to Japan, being surrounded by literally thousands of people, I manage that. And on that topic, I want to tell you a story from, some of you might be familiar with the Shibuya crossing in Tokyo. This is the crossing that many of you may have seen from the pictures when people cross from all the directions. It's basically a river of people crossing one intersection coming from all directions. And well, this is recognized in many guidebooks as a place to be and, place to see, because it's very unique to see that kind of river of people. But I know for a fact that this kind of situation brings me anxiety. So even though I went there and I put myself into that situation, I know for a fact that was not a positive experience, and I would never ever go there again. So that's another aspect of managing anxiety. If you know that something caused you anxiety, first of all, recognize it. Second of all, see if you, again, we're not trying to avoid anxiety, but we try by managing anxiety. We sometimes need to take decisions and don't put ourselves in a situations that we know for a fact bring those stress hormones and overwhelm our system. And in my case, it's a simple. I'm not trying to say that I was still on holiday. I still enjoy myself, but I would never go there again. As a matter of fact, to manage my anxiety, knowing that I don't deal with that number of people in one place very well, I put intentionally, again, intentionality of it is very important here. I put on my daily schedule visits to parks, visits to place of where I can reconnect with nature. And for those of you who've been listening me for a while, know that nature, it's a big part of my existence. I could not sit in the office all day long and connected simply through the screen. I need connection with nature, because connection with nature rejuvenates me. So put it into different circumstances. We still need to go to work, and work can be a source, as we know, of anxiety. But knowing that if work is the place where our energy is being depleted, we have to also offset this with a period spent in the place that rejuvenates us. In my case, it's nature. For you, it would be, I know, spending time with the family, or just listening to the music. I will give you in the next step, actually, what those tools to managing physical anxiety and state of physiological anxiety can be. Let me turn to comments for a second. Thorough dream, anxiety can be there to protect, but can so many times take over. Very good point. This is what awareness comes to play. We have to recognize that anxiety happens. If we let it simply happen, if we're on autopilot, it can overwhelm us. But we can take steps when we keep that in awareness. Yeah, Kathleen, crowds. I think we have a conversation about Alan Watts. Very interesting. But let me move on. So we have understanding nature of anxiety, first and foremost. Then identifying our personal triggers. And those things can be either common to us, but I really wanted to summarize and recapitulate and ask you to recognize and think to yourself, maybe even write them down specifically. Not if it's family, if it's work, if it's chronic pain, if it's aging. Specifically, what aspects of that for you, not for everybody else, but what for you are important. And then, only then, recognize if you think that others may have experienced similar struggle or may have similar triggers for their anxiety. Because actually, part of the reason why I'm here is to experience sense of belonging, sense of community, sense of being together and not being alone. And sometimes not being alone and recognizing the same triggers in others, seeing someone that is, keeping his head between their legs, being in distress, is a source of empathy. And that empathy helps us deal better with our anxiety, and maybe giving a smile to that person, the empathy that shows understanding. I knew, I've been there. I know what you feel. This helps us. This is one of the ways of managing anxiety that is very effective and can actually turn anxiety in your strength and help you build empathy if you start recognizing the same triggers in others. And now, third point is using tools to manage anxiety, understanding it, identifying personal triggers, but we also know that there are situations that anxiety arises as strong emotions are already there, that we feel overwhelmed. And I want to give you 3. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I just want to give you 3. You're also going to practice some of them during the meditation part of the session. And the first one, and if you know my meditations, I know some of you do, is breath work. Breathing is by far the most effective way of speaking to your nervous system and calming the flood of the stress hormones. It is scientifically proven that taking deep calming breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth helps you regulate your emotions, helps you downregulate the stress hormones, the cortisol, adrenaline, helps to cut the flood of them into your bloodstream and physiologically help you to regulate yourself. I've spoken many times about your autonomous nervous system. You have parasympathetic branch and the sympathetic branch. Sympathetic branch is that is responsible for stress, for fight or flight, and the parasympathetic branch is responsible for rest and digest. It's countering the sympathetic branch of your autonomous nervous system. So every time you take a deep breath, hold it and slowly release it, you trigger your parasympathetic branch that counters the sympathetic branch that is on the physiological level where the anxiety happens, so to speak, physiologically, biochemically. And for those of you who know me a bit, my favorite breathing technique, not only in times of anxiety, but in general, in times when I need to regulate myself better, is 4-7-8 breathing technique, which we will practice during today's meditation. Breathing in through your nose on the count of 4, holding your breath on the count of 7, and breathing out through your mouth on the count of 8. There's another breathing technique that is effective when you really feel that anxiety pinned you down, when you really struggle to breathe. And that technique is called box breathing. It is being practiced by Navy SEALs. So you can imagine soldiers would not engage in any activity that is most effective of all. And box breathing, or 4-4-4 breathing, 3 axes of the 3-dimensional space. X, Y, Z. 4-4-4. Breathing in on 4, holding your breath, and exhaling, putting it down on 4. This is another way to manage to regulate and harmonize your nervous system from the state of anxiety or high anxiety. Kate, thank you so much for your very, very kind donation. Yeah, Parvane. And SOS helped for stress and anxiety on that very note. It includes 4-7-8 breathing, and it's been listened by, it's been listened almost 1 million times now. So clearly we need those tools to manage our moment-to-moment anxiety. So if you are willing to listen to this, box to lower BP, exactly. So this is number 1, breathe. Second one of my favorites. I do not experience too much anxiety in my life. Let me just put it right here. Over years and years of my practice, I developed very strong foundation that anxiety does not overwhelm me very often. And this is because of the practice. And I will talk about it in a moment. But before anxiety happens, there are ways of preparing yourself. Okay, I will talk about it in a moment. But coming back, so we have breathing. If you feel overwhelmed at work, with family, doing that 4-7-8 or box breathing 4-4-4, you can do it even in the moment and nobody will notice. I just did it one round. If you don't remember 478 or 444, simply breathe in deeply. Hold your breath for a moment and let it out. Ideally, the out breath is slightly longer than the in breath if you can. This can be done in any situation. You don't even have to close your eyes. I naturally do. So let's face it, I'm with you. I'm pretty relaxed and I feel very much at ease. I have nothing to hide. If I close my eyes, we'll be closing eyes for our meditation. So that's absolutely fine. But you can do it in almost in any circumstances. Like I said, soldiers do it on the battlefield. So I'm sure you can do it too at work, when you deal with your family, in the situations, the times when you recognize that you're being triggered. Yeah, helps me get back to sleep. Yeah, because it helps you regulate your nervous system. Now the second one. The second one is movement. And for those of you who listened to my course on Insight Timer called 6 Pillars of Conscious Living, movement is number one pillar. Our body is a vessel of the consciousness, and we learn to utilize it, to manage it. Anxiety, I dare say, is very much embedded in the body structure. So we manage our anxiety through utilizing our body, or to be more precise, by moving your body. When you engage yourself in a conscious movement, your brain has no resources to engage in the emotions that cause anxiety. So what I invite you to, if it's in a workplace, go around the block, go to the storage room, just walk to the bathroom. And that act of walking, the more vigorous there is, will help you to manage your anxious state. As a matter of fact, even breathing involves movement of your chest. It is subtle. However subtle, it helps you. It works through the moving of your lungs, moving of your muscles. And through that, also supports calm state. One of my favorite ways to deal with any stressful situation, and definitely helps with anxiety, is, and combines my two favorite elements of movement and music, is to dance. I know it may sound awkward, and it may feel awkward at first, but that awkwardness very often is one of the facets of the anxiety. Anxiety means that something is out of balance. We don't feel good about ourselves. It may feel awkward, it may feel embarrassing. That's why I wouldn't suggest doing it in front of others. I think start in your own environment, your own room, put on your favorite music and start moving. And you see how quickly anxiety will dissipate, because anxiety from the physiological point of view is, as I already said, represented by cortisol, by adrenaline, by many different things in your bloodstream, in your physiology. On the contrary, when you start moving, when you start dancing, particularly if you listen to your favorite music, what you engage dopamine, you engage oxytocin, the love hormone, you engage endorphins that we know that are molecules that help us to feel happy, to help us feel fulfilled. That's what you all produce. And all those molecules on the chemical, physiological level will help us counter the state of anxiety that is caused by all the other molecules that I already mentioned. So, examples of mindful movement, like I said, dancing, taking a brisk walk around the block, to the bathroom, to the storage room, whatever it takes. Even better when it's in conjunction with deep breathing, right? We don't have to do either or. We can combine those two, mix and match. We trying to recognize what the source is, and then we try to manage it. If you can, I know one of the ways for me, a bit extreme, is to doing push-ups. Cannot recommend it to everyone, but push-ups are one of those very intense exercises that engages most of the muscles in your body, and it is a phenomenal way of really dealing with the physiological state of anxiety. Swim, run. Again, we're mixing and matching. Being in nature. Managing anxiety is much easier when you're outside. By the way, anxiety is very much internal state, right? We feel, I want to say closed. We are closed. We are captured. We are in the prison of our own state. So the opposite to that, in order to manage, is to go outside. If the inside is out of balance, let's go outside. Let's go with nature. Let's engage the factors that help us to facilitate the rebalancing. So breathing deeply, moving your body in nature. Okay? We have wonderful tools of managing anxiety, wonderful tools to calm yourself. You can call it calming techniques. If there's a one thing that if there's a one thing that you take away from the session as a way of managing your anxiety, remember only these 3 points. Breathe, move, take notice. Breathe, move, take notice. Breathe to regulate your nervous system. Move to counter anxiety hormones with the ones that are of the opposite nature. And take notice. After you rebalance yourself, you harmonize yourself enough, see for yourself what you can learn from the situation. Breathe, move, take notice. 3 things. 3 things only. So now, point 4, creating daily rituals for calm. And I already mentioned that. I want to come back to my ways of managing stress and anxiety that are much greater, I dare say, than most people, simply because I took a lot of time and spent a lot of time training myself in getting to know myself better and getting to know how to regulate my nervous system. And that's where, for most people, actually, mindfulness and meditations come handy. Most of the people, including me, came to the space of meditation and mindfulness by recognizing that you feel stressed, you feel anxious. And if you remember my previous session, I already told the story of my Ph.D., how I become anxious about finishing it and how much stress it brought to my life I couldn't manage. So I spent the past, 16 years? 16 years practicing meditation and mindfulness, and that evolved beyond just a simple practice of mindfulness meditation, become a way of life. But as a result, I can manage stressful situations much easier. Again, meditation did not help me to eliminate any stress and anxiety from my life. It's not about that. It helped me to manage it better. And this is very important recognition, once again. So, daily rituals to build resilience, to build resources to manage life that by its nature, coming back to understanding anxiety, by nature, is stressful and causes anxiety. And my morning ritual, let me share it with you. I get up very early, not because I suggest you to set up your timer for some early wee hour of the day. Simply that's how the rhythm of the day here in Australia on the Sunshine Coast works. There's a sunrise about 4:30 in the morning, so the light that comes in wakes me up. There are birds that wake up with the first light, and so am I. I feel already refreshed. I do not use alarm to wake up, but this is my morning routine. Get up, turn on my coffee machine, a very important thing, and then I go to spend time meditating, contemplating, practicing mindfulness, practicing open awareness. That helps me to recognize what is happening right here, right now. Even though most of the time I'm already relaxed because I just got up. The anxious thoughts are already there. They always are. So rather than saying, oh no, I should not think those thoughts, judging them, I just sit and observe. And soon enough, they come down. Sometimes, most of the time. Sometimes they persist. And if they persist, I just keep observing them and recognizing this is my part of the daily routine. Your thoughts will never go away. It's not about, like with anxiety, your thoughts are a constant companion. And the only way we can do is do not identify yourself with your thoughts. So you do not identify yourself with anxiety. Anxiety is just a state, it's not you. So that morning routine, building resilience through having morning routine, and whether it's a movement, whether it's a meditation, breathing techniques, spending time in nature, going out. Part of my daily routine is to every morning I have to go out. The mornings I do not go out, I do not leave four walls, I lose something. So I always make sure that I just start my day by playing volleyball or going for a swim, or in general going for a walk, going for a cycle, and connecting with any part of the natural environment, because that's what gives me energy. When I spend time staring at the screen, that does not give energy. That drains me. So create a morning ritual that intentionally builds the resources to help you manage the anxiety. Again, my morning ritual: coffee machine, meditation, and having that coffee. And it takes me 10-15 minutes to prepare my coffee. I don't expect all of you to follow the same path. I'm just sharing mine. Then spending time in nature. Then, like today, looking forward to connecting with you during Conscious Living Collective. So yeah, do you have maybe one? I'm gonna look at the comment section. I apologize if I missed some of your comments. What are your morning rituals that help you to build resilience, to build your resources to deal with the anxious world around us? Jamie, my morning ritual is spending time with my dog, then making coffee and wandering around the garden, checking my plants, observing and listening to nature. Fantastic morning routine. I must say, I wish I had a dog. I really would love to have a dog. But I always say, because of my travels, because of my lifestyle, I wouldn't be able to keep dog locked up. We have neighbors who work long hours and they leave their wonderful dog, and we can hear him barking, and it kind of breaks my heart. Actually, I meant to go and ask them if the dog can stay with me. Although I could not have a dog full time. I'm more than happy to dog sit. As a matter of fact, we did it in the past. And on that note, I'm just clicking on the icon. Who's that? Adam, New Jersey. has an icon of a dog, but I think no, that's that just I'm not sure that's that just a doll of a dog. But anyway, it's it just popped up on my screen. Okay, the coffee meditation, mindfulness, somatic and yoga therapy, shower dancing if I can, Kathleen. Amazing. Liz, walk outside first thing. We on the same page. Diane, finding small pockets of joy throughout the day. How wonderful. We try to recharge throughout the day. The recharging part is not limited only to the morning. It's much better, much more effective if we actually fit those mindful pauses throughout the day. And for those of you who are familiar with my meditation called mindful, 5-minute mindful pause, everybody can fit in a 5-minute mindful pause throughout your day to recharge, not just through the morning routine. Shadow, getting ready to shovel snow every morning. I love that. I love that. Tiffany, Qigong, and then 10-minute sitting meditation. Beautiful. Yeah, Qigong. I have to confess to you, I've been wanting to try Qigong for a long time. And actually I had a short spell of practicing Qigong. I was just called to do a simple energy movement through my body, and it felt really good. And I think I feel intuitively it would be very good to include that in my morning routine, even if it was 5 minutes. Kathleen calls it mindful pause. Oh, pause. Pun intended. Very well. Okay, Athena tried Qigong for the first time, and she loved it. Kate, the same. Beautiful. Qigong is a life changer. How wonderful. So, okay, so we have daily rituals for calm. The more calm we practice, the more we become ready to manage the daily anxieties. As simple as that. And before we jump into meditation, last but definitely not least, self-reflection on the anxiety that comes together with noticing it, and also connects with the first point of understanding anxiety. Anxiety being the natural part of our life, we have to approach it with most of the books are talking about self-compassion, but I want to change it to self-friendliness. For me personally, self-friendliness resonates with me much more than self-compassion. Self-compassion, I think it's something that can either arise or not, depends on the circumstances. I can't kind of force this. I cannot force it. But self-friendliness, I can be friendly with myself. I can recognize, yeah, I feel anxious. It's not ideal, but this is normal. It's still me. Anxiety, my affirmation, combination of affirmations would be, I am not my anxiety. This is simply a state I'm experiencing, and this too shall pass. Being friendly with yourself. I want to be friendly with you right now. Say you are not alone when you experience anxiety. Everybody does. You can come here and share it. And this can be source of your power. Every time you experience anxiety, recognize that others have it too. And this can be source of empathy or start of empathy that can empower you to manage anxiety in the future much better. Make it your superpower, your ability to manage anxiety. I wonder what a superhero costume of someone who has superpower to manage anxiety would look like. Send the proposals to my email address. Caitlin, journal it. Allow it. Like I like friendliest. Yeah, friendliness. So there it is. managing anxiety today. Because, yeah, this is a skill that we can develop. And it's not, there's no need to be ashamed to experience anxiety. Everybody does it. It's a part of our human condition. It's part of who we are. It's not about not experiencing it. It's about learning how to manage it and create it and make it a source of our strength and learning from it over and over again. So right now, I want to jump into meditation. I want to make it more practical and offer you something that you can take with you to your day, to your tomorrow, share with your friends. And to assist us with our meditation will be once again Peder Herland. We'll switch to meditation mode. Can't seem to appear on the meditation screen. I do not know what happened, so I'm going to switch to the mainstream. I don't want you to not see me at all. I still want you, particularly for those of you who join late, to know that I'm here for you. But yeah, Peder Herland. And his Midnight Calm. I want to acknowledge Peder here. For those of you who wish to listen to him later, begin by acknowledging that anxiety is a normal state, part of our collective human condition. That's how we evolved. That's how we are built. And it is normal to feel anxious sometimes. You are not an anxious person. You are someone who experiences a state of anxiety that are not you. And if anxiety is not you, then you can learn to deal with it, to manage it better. Managing anxiety is not something that one has or doesn't have. It is a skill. And it starts right here and right now. And the first step is to recognize what is happening. Checking in with the sensations within your body that are the physiological state of anxiety that you are feeling right now. Anxiety never feels pleasant. But the feeling helps us to navigate it in a better way. So the more we connect with those inner sensations of anxiety, the better we can manage. So right now, I want to invite you to breathe with me. And by breathing, communicate to your nervous system that everything is all right. And we will use my favorite 4-7-8 breathing pattern, which means that we will breathe in on the count of 4. Hold our breath on the count of 7. And breathe out through your mouth on the count of 8. And now I will take you through a few rounds of 4-7-8. And please take your time to make yourself familiar with this technique, with this pattern. So breathing in through your nose, holding your breath, and breathing out through your mouth. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathe normally and relax. Connect with your inner sensations and see for yourself the difference. It is possible that you may feel some tingling, some unusual sensations within your body as your system tries to balance itself, return to the state of homeostasis, but also deal with the influx of fresh oxygen that you just introduced by breathing deeply. Take your time to feel into these emotions and sensations that are flowing through your body. And notice the difference once again. By now, it should be a little bit easier to recognize the anxious emotions, the unpleasantness that perhaps lessen a bit, and recognize that you are not your anxiety, but anxiety is a state that you are able to manage. Perhaps you can recognize remaining tension that now you can clearly see in your body. And if this is so, soften it also slightly by relaxing a little bit more, releasing the tension. Recognize the moments of stillness between the waves of the emotions, between the sensations that constantly change from moment to moment. See that you are okay here and now, even though this was not the case in the past. And the situation may happen in the future, in this very moment. You are okay. And you are more ready to take on board anything that life may throw at you. You are not alone. You are part of the human collective, experiencing human emotions and human states. And I'm also here by your side to hold the space, to help you manage the way you feel, knowing there's someone on your side, in your corner. remember that you can recall this moment next time that anxiety comes your way. Remember that you can use 4-7-8 breathing technique to help you come back to yourself, to help you calm down your nervous system and bring yourself back to balance. And right now, give yourself a gentle pat on the shoulder for doing a great job with being here, with managing your anxiety, and to save this state for the next time. Take one deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And when ready, in your own time, open your eyes and welcome back. Okay, we are back from this breathing exercise and awareness exercise, I dare say, because there's no intentional breathing without proper awareness. Awareness is always the key, the main ingredient through which we evolve, we learn, we build resilience. Thank you for meditating with me. That was truly wonderful. My goodness, this session is 1 hour and 13 minutes long. What happened? This is the longest session yet. I do not want to keep you for much longer. Athena, thank you so much for your kind donation, and thank you all for your support and all your donations. The way to support me, honestly, the best way to support me is to go to Insight Timer and use my meditations and feel better every day. This is by far the best way you can support me. The better you feel, the better I feel. The more empowered I feel to run these sessions and have fun with you. Also, another way to support me is to listen to my course, 6 Pillars of Conscious Living, because I mention techniques that are universal, not only to help you with stress and anxiety, like movement, day one movement, here you are, but also help you live your life better in general, live life that is more fulfilled. So maybe it's only 10 minutes every day for 8 days, 10 minutes a day for 8 days. So use that in conjunction with my meditations. And for those of you who are looking for a support group to connect with like-minded people, to meditate together, to discuss those topics, I have my Patreon program. And I know some of you here are wonderful members of my Patreon program, and I want to say I appreciate you very much. But if there are some of you who have already listened to some of my meditations and know my style, know who I am, and wish for more support, wish to join a group that is of like-minded people that gathers on a bi-weekly basis via Zoom, my Patreon program is the way to go. To access that, simply go to my Insight Timer profile, check my website, and you can find details there through my website. So yeah, that's that. And there's also, for those of you who wish to take the self work to the next level and need a support, I also offer one-on-one sessions. This is my exclusive premium program. It's not for everyone. I think it's for those of you who really want to step up the game. And I offer that through my website as well. So do check it out or send me a message on Insight Timer. And most importantly, come next week. We will be continuing the same path of self-regulation and resilience in the session that will be on mindful stress. What is it to manage your stress in a mindful way? That's going to be next Wednesday, or if you're in the US, next Tuesday afternoon and evening. You can sign up for these sessions. Navigating Stress Effectively. This is the name of the session. I believe you'll be able to sign up to it right after this session. It will pop up on your screen. So good to see you all. Once again, thank you so much for your participation, for your presence. I will leave you, as always, with fantastic Peter Helland and his Midnight Calm. Have a wonderful day, pleasant evening, and restful night wherever you are. And I look forward to seeing you next time.